Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast about Heroes of the Storm. I am Garrett Weinzerl, and with me today is Kyle Ferguson. Kyle, how are you doing on, what are we going to call this week? This Infernal week.
That's a good name. Oh boy, that has a lot of meaning to a lot of people this past week, doesn't it?
You're damn right it does. It's loaded. It's loaded and accurate. No matter which way you take it, it is probably an accurate assessment of your experience with Heroes of the Storm this past week.
The build-up from having the PTR, seeing the Infernal Shrines, getting to play the Monk a week early, coming in, the Monk comes out, so many patch notes that we actually spread them over 2 weeks, and then to have a sort of normal week, it felt odd because, one, I warned everyone last time what I was going to do, and it was no mystery. I was going to relax. I was going to enjoy myself. I ended up picking up Nazebo and Sergeant Hammer this week with gold, and just loving them. Hammer I've actually been more try-hard with Abathur. I've said in the past that, much to the chagrin of many other people, I play Abathur kind of lazily. So I've made that change. I'm doing much better. I actually have a positive win rate with him now, really enjoying him. But I picked up Sergeant Hammer to be my late night, too tired to really play, but I'm going to do it anyway quick match thing, in which I basically park myself in range of a building and then stare at my mini-map until something bad happens.
I love that. Now you're making me want to buy Hammer.
She's fun, dude, and very powerful. I mean, if you have map awareness, you can siege pretty scot-free, depending on team comp. And of course, this is quick match, so very rarely are you going to have like 3 people coordinate in Delta format descend upon you.
Yes, that is very true. Though I've been having some really good times killing hammers this week as Zeratul. It's been good fun. But yeah, I've had I don't know. I guess the opposite of your week. I've been hammering away at those placement matches. Finally finished them today. They didn't go particularly well, especially on the back half. Went on a mad losing streak. And I'm on tilt, Kyle. I'm on tilt. I'm feeling salty. There are certain aspects of this game that I am very over at the moment. Mainly when the other team picks Johanna and Leoric and locks you out of the 2 top-tier tanks and basically just get a free win. Because it's so hard. It's so hard to work against that.
It's quick, though. It's painful, but quick, luckily. It's not any drawn-out Merc victories of any kind. But we're going to talk about that later in the strategy section.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly, there's a lot we could just harp in on, really get, negative about this week. But, this is a show for fun for a lot of people who, don't play professionally. So we're going to do our best to say I'm going to do my best. I can't speak for Garrett. I'm going to do my best to spin everything positive. And for me, I haven't completed my placement matches because I've just been enjoying the quick match. When I'm feeling try hard and I feel like playing one of 3 characters, I go into Heroes League. I think I've got 5 left, but anyone who caught this week's solo Q&A saw a lot of reports fly out during that.
Yeah. I mean, that is the one thing. The one thing, last week I got on the show and I said, listen, I need to start treating this game like every other multiplayer game I play and just muting people the second they start to ruffle. What is it? Rustle my jimmies, as you like to call it.
Yes, you could. I thought you were gonna go with rustle your feathers, but
ruffle
jimmies are acceptable.
Yeah, I was trying to. I'm like, wait, no. There's something Kyle always says that's even funnier than feather ruffling. I like
it's
Jimmy
it's
rustling.
An older meme, but it checks out.
Yeah. My jimmies have been rustled. And I've been better about it. I've been just muting people for the most part. And
good.
The quality of my blood pressure has very much improved.
Well, that's excellent. I never mute anyone in game because they could have something important to say. And in fact, as we've said before, some of the most toxic players are actually some of the better ones in the game. And if they say go on X, I'm still going to listen because they're typing out something that means we should be coordinated. And I agree with that aspect, even though I report them when it's all over.
See, if I think the way I take it is if you're going to be a vitriolic asshat, which is a technical term.
Ooh,
I like the idea that I am ignoring you by muting you and not reacting to whatever it is you are typing, even if it is helpful. So you're punishing yourself by being an asshat because people are probably going to mute you. So even if you have good stuff to say, no one's going to listen to you because they can't even see what you're typing.
Well, and, there was also that little thing called the Grand Tournament that came out this past week. So that messed with my placement matches a little bit.
I think it messed with a lot of people's placement matches. And it's also messing with the ladder over there on Hearthstone. Yeah. It is crazy. It is so much fun. I'm having a really good time over there right now.
Am I insane? Am I the only one facing mech mages who haven't changed a thing?
Yes. I haven't seen
Everyone's having different. I'm seeing people being like frost mages everywhere, and I'm just facing nothing but mech mages.
I haven't seen a single mech mage. I saw a tempo mage that had like 2 mechs in their deck for reasons I don't know. Their deck didn't work out very well for them. Anyways, this isn't about Hearthstone. This is about Heroes of the Storm, and this is this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha ha! Let's liven up this place!
Can Stitches play now?
Yeah, I love it when... Oh, cigar fell in the... Oh, wait!
If you're wondering where Tykus' cigar went, there's your answer.
That's where it is.
Yeah.
It's down in his crotch hole.
I didn't know there was that much space inside a marine suit, so I learned something.
I don't know. See, when he was inside the Odin in the Wings of Liberty campaign, he did use the facilities. I don't know if it plugged in and if his suit is already facility capable, but I just chose to ignore that for the most part.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Or was the Odin ready? Was it a vacuum? Because sometimes the Odin's in space. Can the Odin travel in space? Can marine suits survive in zero-G atmospheres?
I don't think we've had that question answered, have we?
No, I mean, in the old Brood War, there was like overlords just flying through space, and that made no sense to me. Also, there were Mutalisk flapping wings in space, and that was just like Star Wars sounds in space. Sounds are cool. It's fine. I just kind of let it slide. With the Leviathan showing up in Heart of the Swarm and Wings of Liberty, things started being a little okayer. At least that was like a space-worthy
okayer. It's science fiction magic. You just gotta kind of roll with the carapace covered punches. So, anyways, the big news this week is that Infernal Shrines is here. They went live on Tuesday, along with, as usual, a new sale and everything. I picked myself up Tykus for $3 and some change. Haven't played him yet, but I just didn't own him yet. I'm like, he's $3. I'll pick him up. Why not?
He's not really in the meta right now, but his kiting is fantastic. And I think in the long run, if melee assassins make a big comeback, which they kind of are with Kerrigan and Thrall at the moment, Tykus could be real cool.
Yeah. So Infernal Shrines is here. It's in the rotation. And actually, the rotation is being changed up. From now until September 2nd, our Battleground rotation will be Infernal Shrines, Battlefield of Eternity, Cursed Hollow, Dragonshire, Sky Temple, and Tomb of the Spider Queen. So we are not going to be getting Blackheart's Bay or Haunted Mines until after September 2nd.
Or Garden of Terror.
Oh, you're right. Oh, yes. So this had to be months ago now when I don't even know who it was anymore. If it was Dustin Browder or it was someone else doing a blog post on the official Hero site, but someone over there said, we're going to listen to player feedback and decide which battlegrounds to take in and out of the rotation. And I think we both were kind of like, we'll see when it happens. And they're totally listening, I think, because those are the 3 that I think most people would like to take a break from.
Yeah, I love the chat. Leave them out. Put them down.
Yeah, I like Blackheart's Bay. I wouldn't mind seeing that come back.
Now, let's be honest here. We like Blackheart's Bay because we have a great win percentage on there. For some reason. I don't really know why.
Yeah, full disclosure, everyone. We like winning.
Yeah.
Apparently is what Kyle wanted to take a break to mention.
But they left in Dragonshire, so last time they basically X'd all the old ones. I think they X'd four of them at that time, leaving us with a rather small pool. This one's a lot larger with Dragonshire still in it. And in fact, I think this looks exactly like everyone would play if they had bans allowed. So I'm curious to know...
I mean, don't speak for everyone, but definitely you and me. Without a doubt, and our circle, we're all kind of in agreement. Like if I had 3 bands, this is exactly what my Battleground rotation would look like.
Yeah.
So, it's good, man. I've played almost no Infernal Shrines this week. I've gotten very unlucky with getting it on my rotation, and what little I have played, haven't won yet. But that was also the case on Battlefield of Eternity when that popped. I've been seeing a lot of anger at Infernal Shrines. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's a snowbally mess fest and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. What do you think?
Well, clearly there was a problem because the map was supposed to release with the monk, and they decided to wait an extra week to fix. The primary thing they wanted to fix was that the very first Punisher was too strong and made the game actually snowbally. So they went back, they reworked it a little bit, but nothing else really changed since the PTR, and still people are complaining. So first of all, let's all calm down and remember what the heck we looked like on Battlefield of Eternity. We were all running around like idiots. We all got stunned 1,000 times. Nowadays, we're just like, dodge the first two stuns, getting melee. Yeah, everyone in melee, woo, you don't get stunned. Okay, now get out. And we just do the dance, and it's natural, and there's nothing really panicky about it. In fact, we are having excellent coordinated team fights while dodging tons of stuns. Our skill has gone up on that map. So let's give it some time. But there are some problems. Mercs don't disappear when the Shrine event happens. This is part of that snowball thing. Granted, it's going to push one direct lane. It does target heroes, though, so for the most part, the other team is entirely occupied with the Punisher, and you could go take Mercs. Would you want to? Probably not. You should probably push with it and get some forts. That's a better idea. The other thing that's really bad right now is the Punisher spawns immediately, and there is no way to mitigate the power of the Punisher. So if you run in there and you get 29, what is it? It's not skulls.
They're
it's
demons.
Demon
Basically
kills?
demon kills. Yes.
Souls, something like that. If you get 29 of those and the enemy team gets 30, the Punisher is no less powerful. It still comes out full power. Unlike something like Haunted Mines, where at least, you could say you got 10, and you're not having to deal with that 10 more skull power.
The other Diablo map, Battlefield of Eternity, same thing.
Exactly, with the shield,
damage,
it's a great mechanic.
Any damage you do to their immortal, I almost said eternal, that doesn't make sense. Any damage you do to their immortal is taken away from their shields. And they're kind of splitting the difference. So the Grave Golem is very tied in with the skulls that it's getting, but the immortal will always have a set amount of health based on how long the game is gone, but they will also have this additional shield that will be larger or smaller depending on how well the opposing team did at burning down your immortal. And then this one is just the pendulum swinging the full other way, where it's going to be as strong as it's going to be no matter what happens.
Right, and then think of Haunted Mines and how much you get done while he's talking on and on about the golems coming. You're taking camps. You might even have time to take mid if they're down there, dealing with the main boss underground. You go get your giants so that you can help defend against it. And in Infernal Shrines, it just pops out. And that's a real snowball problem because you could be on the edge of a team fight. This thing pops out and you lose. So not only, are you all dead when this thing's roaming, you've got the Punisher out beating up your base.
I didn't even think about it that way. Part of that's probably because I only played about 2 games on this so far this week.
Right,
But,
so a lot
no,
of
you're
the
absolutely
fixes-
right, because I had that happen in one of our games. We were fighting over the shrine, and Punisher comes out and just aces one of us. I think it was whoever was on Jaina. Forget who it was.
Right, and with his ability to leap, you're about that far back when you start going, oh, we lost, everyone retreat. It charges you, a squishy dies. All of a sudden, it's just kind of snowballing as the Punisher and the enemy team rockets across you. So a simple fix in, a lot of people's minds is just add a timer. Here comes the Punisher, 20-second timer.
Yeah, like the portals, I don't know, warping or something.
Well, and even the Immortals do this, and they let you know which lane they're going to go to, quite a few seconds in advance.
Yeah, I don't think the Immortals, it's not like Grave Golems. You don't have enough time to go take a camp, but you have enough time to back off, lick your wounds, and coordinate.
Process might be the right word. So in the spirit of being calm, this could all be gone, in 2 weeks when we're actually skilled at this map, and that's not as surprising as it is today, because we haven't had other maps to train us for this sort of situation.
Yeah. Yeah, because, right now I could see it being where, especially if you're in a close race on demon kills, where whenever it just happens, both teams just kind of back off a little bit and then take a look and see who won.
Yeah.
That's
particularly with all the AoE abilities, which are also a problem with this map because AoE characters have become better. because this map is in rotation, just as when Battlefield of Trinity came out, people with PvE talents got better. You know, like I like to say Falstad is a good example of that. He can tag his lightning onto someone. It continues to hit. If you put points into additional hits of lightning, and lightning does more damage per hit it does, that's an incredible PvE ability on something that's going to stand completely still. Butcher is another one. If he can stand completely still wailing on something, he's incredible damage. And now, you know, we're dealing with a meta right now that's full of Kael'thas's and Jaina's, despite any nerfs or changes they had. And here comes a map that's going to reinforce their abilities.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, the AoE preference, I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I think that's good. I definitely like certain heroes being better for certain battlegrounds. And if you're playing Hero League, if you're doing draft and you can see the battleground you're about to go into, I like making an informed decision depending on the battleground that I'm about to play. Now that said,
exactly.
we need more heroes that excel at AoE. Right now we only have a couple. And to me, and this is kind of jumping ahead in our conversation because we're going to get into the Johanna Leoric issue, but a kind of an overarching thing that's kind of a pain in my back is I feel like a lot of these issues are they're connected to the fact that it's still a relatively low hero count MOBA.
Sure. And there aren't specific counters to things. Like we talked about last week that they're considering making Stitches the anti-wizard hero. Maybe he has some sort of passive that reduces spell damage done to him. It's a very common thing across a lot of MOBAs. And plugging that in can really help, you know, counterpick some things. It's just a bad time for this particular map to come out because of those things. And also, on top of that, this feels like area effect, clearing lots of minions. Wow, what a great map for specialists, but our area effect assassins are way too good. Kael'thas and Jaina, and Johanna's Knight First Pawn, and Leoric's Q that does double damage to non-heroes, non-structures, which still counts for these demon skeletons popping up, is taking their roles away.
That's true. Don't forget Hammer. I haven't seen in my games since it's gone live. I really haven't seen any hammers taken. I think that's an oversight. I think she's really good on this map. That's what we saw when we were playing on the BTR. But I guess time will tell.
Right, and this is all just people taking what they're already really good at and applying it directly to Infernal Shrine, so it feels like this at the moment. The chat's making some great, ideas because these are going to happen, absolutely. I think we're going to see Sonya on this map, spinning to win through that entire area, hitting people, getting tons of health from the triple heal on the Whirlwind, hitting skeletons, getting those kills. We're going to see, hammers parking far off. We're going to see Asmodans laying down black pools and just from afar slamming and getting, 7 kills in a single go. But that's not happening right now because, we're currently set in a meta.
Yeah, comfort picks. Everyone's comfort picks are working already. Your Jainas,
Exactly.
your KTs, your Johannas, your Skeleton Kings. These are the things that are already on top of the meta. If you go over to Hot Slogs, that's what you're going to see. And I'm not saying that Hot Slogs is 100% accurate. I'm saying that those of us who keep an eye on the meta, a lot of us put some weight or some importance on that, so we're going to buy into whatever Hot Slogs is telling us is correct. So here is a battleground where the heroes that everyone are already playing excel at. So it seems a little annoying because it doesn't really shake things up.
You're describing humanity at this point. I look at tomatoes and I say, what a delicious treat. And you look at tomatoes and say, oh my God, get off my sandwich.
Indeed. Unless you're chopped up very small and you're called pico de gallo. And then I'm like, all over my tacos. Yes.
Does it have the skin though? I mean, are we talking all salsas or is it only pico de gallo that's okay? Is tomato sauce okay?
Tomato sauce is great. All salsas for the most part are great. I'm not a big fan of chunky Texas style, but I like fresh pico and I like restaurant style. That is as far.
Garden vegetable marinara.
Wow, this skewed real fast, real hard. Sorry, everyone, for that breakneck pace of changing from talking about heroes to our love of tomato byproducts.
We're all just human, man.
We are. I think, what you and I definitely look for is anything that shakes up a meta in any way, shape, or form, and in any game we're really playing. That's what we hope when we get new cards in Hearthstone, and that's what we hope for when we see either a new Battleground or new heroes coming into Heroes of the Storm.
Right.
And we're not necessarily getting it, so some tweaks could be made. I mean, bring it on.
Sure, and for me, I don't mind if the heroes being picked don't really change. I want to see talent changes. Like, I just want to see different builds being done with the same hero. That's more interesting to me. And that's a long-term effect of a map.
Yeah.
Only recently do I feel like we're really seeing, lane-heavy comps happening on things like Spider Queen, and that map's been out for a long time.
Yeah, it has. Which is funny because I still think of it as new. I think of anything other than, like, what was it, the original 4? Was it 4 that it came out with in the alpha?
Yeah, I was lamenting the other day how old Garden of Terror feels compared to many of the other maps.
Right. But if you remember, that was actually our first new map or battleground. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. There were also undocumented changes in the last patch that we didn't talk about last week because, well, they were undocumented.
Right.
So first up was Abathur. His ultimate evolution heroic had its cooldown reduced from 70 to 50 seconds.
Which is definitely 50% of why my Abathur win rate has gone up. I've always been an ultimate evolution player because I picked him up in the alpha. So now that I can continue to do what I originally did with him rather than babysitting some monstrosity on the map and not my team, I'm doing a lot better. 20 seconds off that ult is incredible. Love it.
I like it too. It addresses one of my biggest complaints about Abathur, which is it feels like you're playing with 4.5 heroes, and it's nice to get a 5th body out actually in the fight, not just in the form of an Abathur hat.
Right. There could be some changes to help it out still. Like when I copy Kael'thas, I cast for 2 seconds that I'm going to copy Kael'thas. Then I become an egg for 2 seconds and I hatch. And then I have to wait 2 seconds to activate his trait. And can you imagine getting in a fight and having to wait 2 seconds to cast your trait? It sucks. I want to double living bomb people right now.
I want a single living bomb one person and then living bomb the minions around them. Oh, also getting ahead of myself.
Topical.
Yeah. Tykus, the Odin heroic, it has a 100% increased basic attack range. It is now down to 60% increased basic attack range.
Right, and this isn't actually really a nerf. It's just now in line with what's actually happening because in the previous patch, they changed Tykus' range to be the same as other range heroes of his type.
So the tooltip update was just incorrect.
Right.
And this is an update to the tooltip.
Yep.
Okay. That's weird.
Well, they increased his basic attack outside of it, and then the Odin augments it, so they never really went through and changed the tax. So basically the Odin stayed the exact same power. Outside of Odin, you're a more powerful Tykus because you have increased range.
Gotcha. Diablo, his From the Shadow talent had the increase stun duration decreased from 1.5 seconds to 0.5 seconds.
Ooh, keep it cool, man. Let's keep it cool.
What?
I'm saying this for me, man.
Just
a nerf to Diablo just, at this point, just hurts.
It is hilarious to watch you get upset about stuff in a video game. Because you are usually 99.9% of the time the most bubbly, everything is roses, everything's going to work out. You're just the most positive guy about anything, any topic we're discussing. Even tomatoes, for God's sakes. And it's funny. I can tell how much you care about heroes because I've never seen you get this ruffled about things in a game before.
For me, it's because Diablo allowed me to do something I never could in another MOBA, and that is be a WWE wrestler. It's incredible picking people up and slamming them around. I love it so much, and I want it to be back.
I now want a voiceover patch for Diablo where he talks like Macho Man Randy Savage. Just, oh yeah! Just gets in there.
Bonesaw.
The Lord of Terror is ready. It'd be so great. Bring it on.
Just confuse the files of ETC. It's fine.
Yeah, Diablo's Siphon the Dead talent also had a change. The active heal went from 15% to 15.6%, but was shown in game as 16%.
Oh, no.
So that's fixed.
Don't take that talent.
Yeah. Kerrigan, double strike talent. Your next basic attack after an ability does 50% extra damage. That has been changed up to 75% extra damage. So just another buff in line with multiple buffs for Kerrigan. I'm not sure she's figured out. I haven't seen a Kerrigan where I'm like, yeah, they know what they're doing.
I think there's some players out there who have been waiting in the sidelines with Kerrigan a long time, and they're extremely in love with her, and they play her well. The problem is we're not adapting to them. So I played a game this past week in Heroes League where I was Uther, and I had a Kerrigan on my team. And this Kerrigan was extremely demanding. I didn't report him or anything. Still, decent person. But they wanted all my heals. Basically, they wanted to be treated like a Butcher or an Illidan, which I wasn't prepared for. And had I landed or been more giving with my heals towards the Kerrigan and put more Divine Shields on her earlier to let her build up a huge assimilation shield, then the Divine Shield goes off. Kerrigan's unstoppable. It's incredible. We would have won that game much faster than we did.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the healer pair up I like. Rhaegar's also really good with her. If you spec into shields on his lightning shield, which is hilarious because it's not a shield until you actually get the talent. But both of those, the healers that can give her a lot of health at once and then also bubble her in some fashion, really good. Yeah. Nazebo, Gargantuan Stomp, the cooldown went from 4.5 seconds to 5 seconds, so it's up by 0.5 seconds. I think that's okay. Gargantua was pretty much the accepted, this is what everyone takes up until recently. Now we're seeing Ravenous Spirit again, which excites me. I love it. I really like that.
It's a great choice. Nazebo is a wonderful character. That's why I picked him up this week, because he fills a role for me in Heroes League, mainly because people are stealing my Rainers right now. I need some damage on the field. And being able to make a almost, 100% choice at level 10, I'm loving it. If the game is rough for me, I'm never able to stand still. Gargantuan. If I'm actually great positioning, I have a great tank, a great healer, then I can go Ravaging Spirit.
I like it. I feel because I'm seeing a good mix of Gargantua versus Ravenous Spirit, and I like it. This is obviously what Team 1 aims to do. They want heroics to not be an auto pick, and I think they've nailed it with Nazebo, or at least come close to it. I see a lot of Gargantuas. I see a lot of Spirits. I'm happy.
Beautiful talent diversity. You can do sort of half builds. You don't even have to go full spiders anymore. He's in a great place.
Yeah.
I'd say he's a standard now, which I hope other heroes can reach.
His damage is ridiculous right now. You can't argue with it.
No, and he's top win rate.
Yeah.
Very top.
Uthers, ears on. Redemption no longer revives you if you pick it after you die. So, if for some reason you were kind of like me and it's like, oh, I'm in the middle of a fight, I'll deal with this talent afterwards. You can't do that anymore.
Nope. Get good at control. And that allows you to pop up that menu, hit a number key, and you will instantly select the ability mid-fight.
Yep. And finally, Murky. Murky's difficulty rating has been changed from medium to hard. Thank you.
All right, good.
It is now an accurate assessment of Murky. Now, if they would just change Uther's, I believe he's still easy, which I think is criminally inaccurate.
Yeah. I have so many, just adrenaline pumping through my veins whenever I have to play Uther, just hovering over 8 buttons, all of which are almost emergency case only.
Pretty much, yeah. Just, imagine, sir, that you are Batman, and someone takes your utility belt, moves all the pieces around, and just hands it to you, and then says, all right, go fight Bane. That's what it feels like to heal as Uther, everyone. That's what it feels like. All right. Time for the big topic of the evening, placement and ranks. You and I have both felt, last week I said I needed some therapy, and this week you are now in the same boat, is what the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, no, still in my positivity bubble, but certainly noticing what other people are feeling and seeing what they're reacting to firsthand.
Yeah, so if you are like us, and you like to, poke around Heroes fan sites and maybe gasp the subreddit, you probably saw a lot of discussion going on about the rank system. Specifically, a post from ZP saying that the new rank system is basically broken. This spurred a lot of conversation in the community this week. If you're unfamiliar with it, ZP is a very popular streamer of Heroes of the Storm. Damn good player. Has a bunch of friends who are also really damn good players. And he had a very hard time with the rank system this week. And as personal and salty as I think his post is, damn if I can't just totally see where it's coming from and not agree with a lot. I kind of agree with a lot of its points.
Sure, it's important to note that this guy had just streamed the entire day when he made this post. And then he got with his friends, which is, doing the 4-stack, doing a 3-stack, is the way that most people kind of get themselves carried into rank 1. They can't do it in a solo queue environment. And he did that. And he couldn't get out of rank 5 no matter what he did.
Yeah. Chat room's like, he's not that. This is not the conversation we're here to have. He's above average. He's not a total scrub noob. Like, he's not, getting in there with level 1 Rainer. He's not a brand new player. He knows what he's doing.
Right. We're not here to discuss him as a person, more his post.
Right. So he put up this big post, and the link is in the show notes. You can get it over at amove.tv/ITM. We're not going to read it verbatim. I suggest you do so to get a good idea of exactly what we're discussing here. But his list of issues said that, quote, the new rank system from observed behavior works on the following observed metrics. 1, minimum Blizzard MMR to hit rank 1. 2, top players are currently far beyond the internal minimum to hitting rank 1. 3, no skill bonus in hitting rank 1 on the last few ranks, regardless of how high your MMR actually is. And number 4, relaxed matchmaking that currently prioritizes faster games over even matches. This results in higher MMR players almost always having the deck stacked against them. And basically what he's saying there is that if you're solo queuing, your MMR is super high, it is putting a bunch of low MMR players on your team to balance things out.
Exactly. So in a bubble, this is a laughable situation. He is complaining that he is too good to get rank 1. And he is so amazingly powerful and skilled that the only way for the Blizzard matchmaking system to work with his number is to get ridiculously underskilled people and place them on his team to even out for his opponents.
Yes. And that does sound insane, and that was my gut reaction, was like, oh, stop whining. But he's got some decent points, and he's not alone. He's not the only person that's been saying this, and he must have struck a nerve because Team 1 seemed to directly address these claims in a blog post they put up today on the official Heroes site. It's a placement and ranking post. If you haven't read it, it's a good read. I highly recommend it. It pulls the curtain back on a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes in our placement ranks. And the important part is their retort to they didn't say it's a ZP's post, but it's totally the ZP's post, says, quote, following the rank reset, we've seen feedback from players at the top end of the MMR spectrum who were frustrated that they couldn't seem to make the climb back into rank 1. In our last major patch, a change was made which removed bonus points from the top 5 ranks. As a result, highly skilled players who have also played a large number of games were not receiving enough points after wins to allow them to rank up. This is not an experience we're happy with, and we're going to add bonus points back to the upper ranks so that top players can more easily return to their intended ranking.
Which is good news for everybody, regardless of what you think of ZP.
Right, exactly. So that is kind of the point I'm making. Like, whether or not you thought this was kind of an inflammatory post, struck a chord.
Yep.
So, interesting. It was interesting to watch this all unfold, because you know me. I'm usually the first guy to be like, oh, someone's bitching on Reddit. I don't care.
Well, and ideally the situation for Blizzard was they were going to do these 20, placement matches, which regardless of if we actually need them to find our MMR, because lots of us have really, solid MMRs that are kind of set in stone because of the number of thousands of games we played over the last year.
Yeah.
But for those people first going into Heroes League, 20 placement matches is a great thing for them to do. That means, if you're amazing, you're coming from Dota, you're just getting into this game from League of Legends, you are going to rocket through the 50s, through the 40s in the old setting, and you were ruining matches for other people because your skill did not deserve to be in those. Now with a placement match, you can skip past that and stop ruining other less skilled people's games.
Right. And there's even more of that. There's even more tweaks coming to that system. In the post today, they mentioned that with future season roles, they're going to tighten up the initial placement so that you receive a ranking that is more closely tied to where your MMR indicates you should be. You and I have gotten so many tweets that if we printed it out, I'm sure we could build a 2-scale replica of the Battlefield of Eternity. of people being like, this was what I was before the this is what I was before the placement matches. This is my win-loss in the placement matches. Oh my God, I lost 30 ranks. What's going on? And we've heard a lot of stories like that. I myself ended at 16 and ended up at 29.
Right, which is a tragedy, because regardless of if your MMR should be there, if that's the correct place for you to have great matches, you put in the work and Blizzard buried it. And there's a lot of people out there that are flabbergasted to go from the 10s into 50, 49.
Yeah. They also said that among the lower ranks that they believe they were a little too careful in giving out initial placements. And we mentioned this in the last couple of episodes, that they said, they warned us ahead of time, listen, your placement after these placement matches is probably going to be very conservative. You're probably going to be lower than you think you should be. But they did say that in the coming days they're going to be improving initial placement for the mid to lower ranks. So it looks like I should have listened to you, Kyle. I should have just waited. Or we could have all...
Weeks? But coming weeks is a long time for Blizzard.
That's a good point. In the coming weeks, 3 months later.
Right, I've got 5 matches left of placement. That's going to happen before next week just because I love Heroes League and I liked playing the draft system.
Yep.
I could wait for whatever gets evened out, but my philosophy is that I want the best games I can, and if I'm too good to be where I am, I'll go up, and if I'm not, I'll go down. Like I just want to have good games.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Also, they said that they've taken steps to limit potential rank inflation in the future, so your rank and rating are more likely to stay closely aligned. Which sounds like, to me, the way I take that, Kyle, is you're not just going to be able to grind games to make up for lack of skill to get up into the higher ranks where you don't necessarily, I don't want to say belong, but where it doesn't match up with what your skill level is.
Right. And that kind of leads to the problem of, wait a minute, so the numbers 50 through 1 are representing my actual MMR anyway. Why not just show me my MMR?
Thank you. This is all I want. Just show us the damn MMR. Why? Why can't we see it, Kyle?
Because it's an inflammatory statement. It's like, let's say you have 5 kids, Garrett, and they all go and have an IQ test. The last thing you want to do on Earth is give those kids those numbers because it'll mean everything. The line for lunch, like they will use that information violently against each other. And so MMR feels like a really true number. They're trying to avoid it. They want people to have fun, have less ladder anxiety. But at the same time, I play Dota. I see my MMR number. If I lose 2 matches there, my number goes down, maybe 40 points. Okay, that sucks. But as long as I'm not dropping thousands or hundreds number, I still feel pretty good. Whereas if I lose 2 matches in this system, I go down a full rank number. And everything I did in the past feels like it wasn't worth it. So both have their problems.
That is true. Good points. But okay, here's a question, Kyle. Now that you've gone neutral and you refuse to take a side, which system would you prefer? And you're not allowed to say there are merits to both. Right.
If we're gonna do things like MMR decay and ranks that only a certain number of people can actually be in, I want ranked numbers in those systems because then I have goals to achieve. But if we're skipping those, I just want my MMR number because I want to know exactly where I stand all the time forever.
So you still kind of pick both.
Sorry,
but
let me
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll just yes or no it here.
No.
I would like MMR.
Okay. I feel like I fall in that camp as well. I like the gamification. Gamification is fun. It's great. It's clearly something that it seems to be a going trend over at Blizzard as a whole.
Sure, and it is. It's the science of fun, and they've got it figured out.
But that's the thing is I'm not sure they've nailed it because we're having discussions like this, and the community is having discussions like this. So, and I'm gonna go middle ground here and say I'm not sure I know what the answer is. I feel like I personally would prefer MMR. But that's definitely not the case for everyone. Our chat room is not in agreement. So, we've heard from people emailing us. We can't agree. So I'm not sure. Can't make everybody happy.
Absolutely.
And And Dustin Browder got on the Twitter horn and talked about some of these stuff that are within this discussion bracket as well. Someone tweeted at him and said rank 1 right now makes people feel like they're as good as Temple Storm, which falls into a kind of feel-good trap for me. And Dustin Browder said that we need a Grandmaster for Temple Storm. That is a missing feature and not a design direction, which I think is a great response. You know, we've talked about it here. Grandmaster is coming. This is not the final rank system that we are going to have months from now, years from now. It's not going to look like this. This is not the finished product. Another person tweeted at Dustin Browder and said, Grandmaster is not going to change anything. Hero League needs to be 2-player max. I'm assuming they're talking about 2 stacks, or like how many players you're going into that you're all in a party together.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So they're asking that you can't go in with a 3 pre-made or a 4 pre-made or a 5 pre-made. Dustin Browder said, noted, we'll discuss further. So not really any information there.
A little nebulous, but it's important they're getting our viewpoint on this, which is, people are getting together and artificially carrying themselves through, just being coordinated on voice chat, whatever, or maybe getting their extremely powerful friends to carry them there. That's a problem. In a 2-player only setting, or 2-stack only setting in that case, it's really hard to, skew the entire game to exactly what you want. You've got 3 other individuals you're having to combat with there. Right now, the big problem is no one's playing Team League. And in fact, there's a beautiful tweet from Dustin Browder just saying, why aren't you playing Team League, people? Because what people are doing is they're just ignoring it because it's not refined. No one really has an MMR already established in it. The placement matches are way too long. I mean, if you complete all your placement matches, 20 of them, that's 10 hours of work. Holy crap. That you have to get 5 people together for, 50 man hours to complete that task. It's incredible. Most people are, in fact, just saying goodbye to their 5th friend and going 4-stack into quick match.
Yeah, Kyle, you remember those science projects in grade school? All right, we're gonna buddy you up, and you knew going in. It's like, no, don't put me with that guy. Oh, damn it, you put me with that guy. And you knew I'm gonna do all the work. I'm gonna Can you imagine trying to do it with 5 people? There's a reason this show is a 2-man show.
Right, exactly.
Trying to get 5 people to meet to do 10 hours of anything. That's just not going to happen.
There's a reason there's stereotypes for Dungeons and Dragons and games like this.
Oh, exactly. I used to be a hardcore raider in WoW. I get it. Yes, you can make it happen, but it's hard to do. And the pick up and play aspect of Heroes of the Storm, I think, is one of its strongest, one of the strongest pluses of the game. It's great.
Well, and Crazy in the chat room says exactly what we're all kind of thinking, which is, why would I play in Team League when you can 4-man stomp? And it's just more fun.
That's a really good point. That too. We should do one patron game tonight, and then afterwards we should grab 2 other people who kicked our asses, probably Daribo and someone else, and we should go stomp on Hero League.
Okay, sounds good.
See if we can't get our asses kicked. See if we
let's make it happen.
Can't prove ourselves wrong. Actually, no. You just reminded me how much fun it is, and I haven't played with 4 people in a while.
It's important to note too that the landscape of full stack teams is extremely different, and people who get in there for fun suddenly see things that they've never ever seen before. I mean, back in the day, we did a full 5-stack in Team League and got Haunted Mines, and it was the very first time we'd ever seen 1 person in the bottom lane, 4 people up top, and it whipped our butts because we had never seen anything like it. Now it's the meta. But that's where things that's where the meta is in these 5 stacks, and people, aren't prepared.
Yeah. And eventually it leaches down into the pickup groups.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. It's a weird place. I feel like this is all good stuff. I mean,
growing pains for sure.
Right. When you think about where the game started and where it is now, it has grown leaps and bounds, and it's been very impressive. And while this all sounds kind of like a laundry list of complaints and grievances, it's tweaks. We're wanting to make this better. It's because we all care. We're all very invested in this game. So I think it's a good thing. I think it was Justin Robert Young on our Nerdtacular episode of Hearthstone that said every time we complain about something on the Angry Chicken that somewhere Ben Bro's just going, oh yes, awesome, you love the game, cool, thank you. Like that's probably his reaction, and I hope that's what Team 1 people think about a lot of the Heroes of the Storm chatter that's been happening this week.
Right, and that's the right mood to have about this.
Yeah. So, while we're on the subject of Dustin Browder's tweets, there are a lot of others that were interesting this week.
Yeah.
This first one, which I feel like might spawn some discussion between you and I, someone tweeted at him and said KT can one-shot heroes near a minion wave by taking the living bomb talents. Are there any plans to balance this? It's worse than Sylvanas' UP? I feel like a noob.
Yeah, no, we'll just let that go.
I'm not sure what they're referencing there. But Dustin Browder replied with a famous...
Oh, unstable poison. Gotcha.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
This is one of the things I'm talking about, too, with specialists kind of losing their roles.
Dustin Browder replied with his famous will fix. So we've gotten quite a few tweets and emails about this. People complaining about KT's living bomb build. And
yeah, in fact, it's overwhelmingly easy to do.
Oh, it's insanely. And you a couple weeks ago were like, oh, thank God they changed KT. No longer can you just blindly fire Flame Strike, and hopefully you top the charts, and you probably will because it's super easy. Well, here's yet another fairly easy build to get crazy results as Kael'thas. No, KT players, I am not sitting here on top of my tower judging you. This is the exact build I do when I play Kael'thas, and I love it.
Well, and a lot of people just grabbed the talents that they were comfortable with before the meta established the Flame Strike build, which is living bomb spreads to other targets. And, they said they nerfed the talent, 75% bonus damage to living bomb, but the 30% increased damage and area effect is huge.
That's what the area effect, like if you're caught in the middle of what is the maximum 7 minions or 7 creeps exploding around you, you're taking 7 area effect damage on top of if you had a living bomb on you. You're just toast. It's gone. Blink of an eye. I've seen tanks die this way. It's ridiculous.
Right, and in fact, the original people thought you could work this out by putting 1 living bomb on the hero and then dropping 1 living bomb on the lane. But right now, people are just dropping both on the lane and letting the whole thing do the damage. And in fact, it's a little bit more when you account for all the area that happens. Right,
because if you double it up on the same target, it causes it to instantly explode.
Which shouldn't be happening. They fixed his living bomb able to stack multiple times on a single person. So it's not actually the living bomb spreading onto them and boom, boom, booing. It's just all that area effect from 7 guys going off at once.
Yeah, it's basically 7 living bombs explosion going off simultaneously, and if you are standing in the middle of that creep wave, you are dead.
Yep.
So, a lot of damage. It's nuts. It's beautiful when it works. I mean, there's not always a creep wave for you to pull this off, and a lot of players have wisened up and don't stand near creeps anymore. But it's still, it needs to be fixed, but damn if I don't love it when it happens.
I hope this sort of attention to the creep wave, though, causes people to pick really cool talents into the future. And there's a number of them. Like Sylvanas, we talked about unstable poison. Granted, people already kind of knew that. That's why they're saying this doesn't do as much damage as Sylvanas' if they're in a creep wave. That's outrageous. But we also have talents like Raynor has with... what is it here? It's putting on a clinic. Whenever enemy minions, heroes, or captured mercenaries die around you, your cooldowns are reduced by 1.5. And to take advantage of that is a really cool idea. Like, I know I'm going to be fighting in the middle of creep waves. I can use this talent to augment my abilities. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean...
And situational and not overpowered.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much that'll... I wouldn't like hold my breath waiting for that day to come, Kyle.
Oh no, I'm going to keep breathing, but it is my hope.
Yeah. Another tweet that was sent his way said that now that 5-man auto team league is in play, when can we expect to see bans implemented? And Dustin Browder said, not for a bit. Making matchmaking and other issues a higher priority right now. I like that answer, especially after the discussion we've had today.
Right, exactly. So they said originally, bans were going to happen because the higher priority was adding heroes to the game. Now, the way Dustin's phrased it, is matchmaking is the number 1 priority, which is great for our discussion today.
Yeah. How do you feel? We really touched on it. It was brought up very briefly when we were talking about ZP's post, but how do you feel about erring on the side of a faster match? You're going to get into a match faster rather than waiting and having a more even team composition or more even skill bracket between you and the rest of your teammates and the people you're about to play against.
Right. I'm going to wait forever because there was text notebook files online that I had to download in order to, control find someone's name in Warcraft 3 to see if they got banned in the past. It would take sometimes a solid 45 minutes to get a game together and to make sure it was good. I will wait.
Fair enough. Wow. Okay.
That's all we could do in, 2005. That's the best system there was.
That's insane. Yeah, no, I like that they're prioritizing. Another question was, for future Heroes events like Eternal Conflict, should we expect another 2 maps with the same tile set? And Dustin Browder said, no idea. What do you think it should be? I love that.
Which you should take this invitation to actually tweet at Dustin Browder and tell him what you think it should be. It's kind of rare for Team 1, less so recently, but for them to be this open to suggestions. So take advantage of that. Let him know. I'd love to see 2 maps per thing, but it doesn't quite sound practical.
No. And my gut reaction was, well, I'd like to see not the same tile set, because you think of something like Warcraft or StarCraft, and you think of the lands, the zones in Warcraft, the different planets in StarCraft.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think he's saying it that way. I think he's saying the Heaven and Hell happened on both maps. We would not see Heaven and Hell tile sets used for a StarCraft event. Merely that they would make StarCraft maps and both would use the same tile sets.
No, that's not what I was saying. But I'm saying if we got 2 StarCraft maps, it would be really nice if they didn't share the same tile set.
Oh, so they were more unique then. You would prefer that.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
I said my gut reaction was, think about what a vast difference in terms of I don't know, geography there is in the different worlds that are in the different Blizzard IPs. But that's also true of Diablo. We could have had wildly different tile sets. You could have, imagine if you just did a whole map that was just the Ariat Crater.
Right.
That would look so different from what we have right now. Maybe not that different, because hell is fire and brimstone, but, I don't know, something, a snow level from Diablo. So I don't know. I could see if we got a Warcraft event, it would be Horde versus Alliance, like Horde side, Alliance side. I could see that being a continuing theme. But I'd like to see them, this one's in Hyjal, this one's in Northrend. I'd like to get a little bit of a differentiation in there.
Right, and it sounds easy for the StarCraft event because this is made in the old StarCraft engine. There were plenty of tile sets waiting around from campaigns to be used.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, just give me the char level, give me the...
Xeris, just the laboratory, just throw it all out.
I can't even remember the name of the ice planet from oh my God, there I go, mixing it all up. Heart of the Swarm. The actual HOTS.
It's like Kares or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I forget the name of the snow planet, but I remember we were, back on StarCast, we were seeing screen caps from it. We're like, oh my God, a snow level, this looks so dope on here. It was cool. It's good stuff.
Yeah. We're gonna be old men in our hovering rocking chairs, telling our kids about. Remember when they added environmental effects? And they're like, "Shut up, Dad." My Oculus has misters, so I can feel the rain.
Oh God, that's great! It just shoots water in your eyes. You go underwater, it simulates drowning.
oh no.
Come on, Dad, you didn't even have to learn how to hold your actual breath to play video games. You're such an old man. I don't know, man. I got nothing. That riff got away from me. And then the final tweet we want to mention, someone said, no, hotfix destroyed dozens of replay submissions, to which Dustin Browder said, sorry.
Sad face.
Yeah.
Which it did. And I was very disappointed because I was really excited to watch Enter the Storm, or Eye of the Storm, the EU tournament, the third one. All those replays are posted online. It's rather rare for a tournament to do that, and I was going to watch them in client, and I couldn't.
That's unfortunate. Wouldn't it be nice, Kyle, if a MOBA let you watch a tournament in client?
Let's not dream too hard.
Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be really sweet? Wouldn't that just make you? Don't you think that would just make an esport around a MOBA just explode?
It would. let's hedge our bets. Let's put things in matchmaking first. Let's not dream too hard.
What if, Kyle? What if we could buy like a tome or something that would inform us of the teams that are playing and get us invested in the esports, but then some of that money went into the prize pool for BlizzCon and made it bigger? Wouldn't that be really sweet?
Right, and we were given items when the team won because we were watching, and we got all these cool things for participating. Yeah, I know.
Man, why doesn't any MOBA do? I just don't understand. Oh,
the International is amazing, yes. It's also been going on for several years. It's also a redone game that was previously made, so it had a lot going for it, a lot to help it out.
Yeah, I would argue though that they got it pretty right from the get-go though.
Yeah.
Anyways, just let me observe games. Let me watch a tournament in the client. Why we've been asking that since StarCraft 2 came out. I want it in Heroes. Darn it. Anyway, before we get into our strategy discussion for tonight, I want to thank some of our patrons who are, you guys helped this show happen. So thank you very much. If you want to become a patron, check out patreon.com/ITN. I'm very excited because once we get into next month, we're going to see where our milestones landed. And it looks like, Kyle, if everything stays the way it is, it looks like next month we're going to be starting our monthly ITN call-in episodes.
Yeah, we are. And that's great. I mean, we're not losing any of the features we've already brought to you guys. The cast will continue. More on that later. Weekly after shows going to continue. So thank you so much for going along with us. If you want to join, $1 a show is all we ask. And if you can't give that much, we're more than happy to take your patronage as it is. So thank you, everyone who's already supporting us. Join now.
Pennies are great because they make us look popular on Patreon.
Yep.
I love it because I can't tell you, we were at, I was at Intertech, you sadly couldn't come. And the amount of, weirdly enough, the amount of people that came up to me and said, I'm sorry, I can't back you on Patreon, or also said, I'm sorry, I can only give like 20 cents. And every time I'm just like, no, stop apologizing. It's totally fine. There's a reason this show isn't behind a paywall. Show will always be free. This is opt-in. If you want to support us, if you like what we're doing, we love it and we really appreciate it. But however you support us, if it's just downloading it, if you've never given us a cent, but if you've told your friend about it and your friend is not listening, thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And everyone's too nice. Don't feel like you have to give us money. That is not the case.
Well said.
So the patrons this week we would like to thank you to Mitchell MD, middle initial M, last initial D. I don't believe Mitchell is a doctor. Maybe he is. I don't know. Thank you to William R. Thank you to Edward L., Chris B., and Michael W. Thank you all so much for your patronage. We really do appreciate it. So thanks and keep rocking on. Now, let's talk some strategy.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Don't reveal our plans to our foes. I mean it. Not a word.
Well said, Johanna. Well said.
And a fitting bumper for this particular strategy section.
I picked it for a reason. Thank you for making a variant with Johanna. Now, Kyle, I love Johanna. Probably my favorite tank.
And boy, am I happy you do, because I find her so boring.
See, but however, Kyle, what's your thoughts on Skeleton King?
He's badass, right? Stomping around, swagger, slamming that big old mace.
I find him boring. Doesn't fit my jam. So, is it safe to say that my favorite tank is Johanna and your favorite tank is Mr. Leoric?
Diablo, but if we're going with actually wanting to win at the moment, it is Leoric.
Okay, so if it's actually love, it's Diablo. If it's an informed decision for the betterment of the team, it's Leoric.
Yes.
Cool. Well, it sounds like you and I are going to have a fun time with this discussion today because we want to talk about the popular meta right now, which is double tanks and also, in parentheses, wizards or mages, whatever you want to call it. I tend to call them mages, probably because at the moment we only have 2 of them and they're actually mages in the lore of Warcraft.
Fair enough.
I never even thought about it until just now. I think that might be the reason I call them mages.
I call them wizards because I come from Dungeons and Dragons, and wizards means your skills are learned and you have to study them. Whereas a warlock is someone has their powers either given by a demon or at birth, which is a sorcerer.
And then what is a mage?
Well, mages actually don't really fall into that. Mages are more like battle warriors, so they're adept at like using spears, but still casting a fireball here and there.
It's super cool.
It's more of like a profession.
Okay. All right, awesome. This is not what we were here to talk about, but I do love it when we get into some side D&D conversation. But we're not here. We're not talking about esports. You're going to see different stuff there. We're talking about what the average Joes, which Kyle and I definitely fall into. Maybe me more than Kyle, Mr. Rank 1 before the reset. What we see, what we are going to be going up against when we go into Hero League. And at the moment, we both definitely went on tilt. You probably the most I've ever seen you today, and me in my very traditional F all this, I'm done, I can't believe how terrible this is fashion. We went on some really bad tilt today because 2 games in a row in our Hero League, my last 2 placement matches, the opposing team grabbed both Leoric and Johanna and locked us out of top tier tanks.
Right, which makes this particular meta really dangerous at the moment. Double tank is nothing new. But when we think about it before the Johanna patch, it was a very different thing. And in fact, what it meant was dive comp. You would do Tyrael Anubarak. You'd be able to basically go under the enemy ETC, which is what it always was during that time period. Maybe a Diablo. And you get to the back lane and destroy everything. Meanwhile, that Anubarak, or that Diablo, that ETC, was trying to tank all of your own damage while your tanks were destroying theirs. It had a flow to it. It was somewhat counterable. It definitely had its holes, which made it acceptable. But the maddening thing about the current double tank Wizards meta is that it is overwhelmingly solid, and you have to be the crafty Zerg player to penetrate the turtling Terran in this case.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. And I know for me personally, it's definitely the most frustrated I've been with however the meta has shaken out. We've talked if you play it into the Nexus backwards, it would probably something like it would just be a chronology of what's bothering Garrett, and it would probably, if you rewound it, it would just be like, oh, Abathur, oh, Lily, oh, whatever, Tyrael, I don't know. But this is really it's really a knife at my side, man.
Right, and the chat is yelling other tanks, particularly Muradin. He is a beautiful single tank, can make great comps around. I see Muradin's flying, jumping with style and grace that I don't see with any other tank. But when people are watching pro games and then they react to them in solo queue environments or in their own personal play, and we're not talking about pros here, we're just talking about people reacting to the meta. Muradin's current win rate is only 46% compared to Leoric's and Johanna's, which are above 54%.
I just want to place our normal little asterisk right here. This is from Hots Logs, not officially from Blizzard.
Exactly.
But this is all we have to go off of. As a matter of fact, above Muradin at the moment is Tyrael and Chen by a decent amount. But they're both under 50%.
Right, so when you're thinking about these 2 tanks, right now one of the big problems with them is they both can solo lane clear, which is an extremely important feature when you have something like a Zeratul running around. Not necessarily a wizard, but then you can, or maybe your other wizards like your Kael'thas's and your Jaina's, they can take the support with them because Johanna is able to take Knight versus Pawn, clear lanes solo wonderfully. Leoric with his Skeletal Swing can clear lanes extremely easily, and he's suffering from power creep at the moment. Honestly, a Skeletal Swing is more powerful than Stitch's Slam by a long shot, even when Slam is well invested into. And then Undying, the level 1 talent, is a lot better than Black Soulstone, which is Diablo's entire trait of his kit.
Yeah. It's hilarious that we're just now starting to talk about power creep here and over on Hearthstone, like almost simultaneously. Hasn't really come up until just now.
And it comes with games life, right? As they need to create new things. They said so themselves. I believe we were reading the notes from, what was it, Gamescom. And Dustin Browder was saying, we need to be more careful that when we're making tanks, we're not throwing the entire kitchen sink at them. Paraphrase quote. But I know he said kitchen sink, which is very important because Johanna feels like that. She is a tank. Low damage, but very, very hefty.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's kind of the poster child for her right now in Heroes. But anyway, she has everything you'd ever want for a tank, including a talent where you don't even need to worry about it. Oh, you were going to die? No, you're not.
Exactly. So double tank right now in this current super safe turtle sort of meta works because of Johanna. If you're thinking of double meta with Tyraels, anything else, it's the older version.
Right.
This is what double tank is right now. It has extremely high burst potential because you have Leoric and Johanna in the front line, slows, some stuns, and then the wizards running around back, and could be a healer, dependent. For the most part, it's Lily right now because she stacks so well with Johanna, doing that sort of double blind exchange, making sure auto attackers on the other team can't get their shots in.
Yeah.
So Lily is actually the top tier tank.
Would you mind taking a quick sidebar? Chat. Multiple people in chat room, and I'm sure people at home are wanting a quick explanation, a noob's guide to power creep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is basically when there are two things that are more or less the same in a game, but one came later and is objectively better than the thing that came before it. In the case of Hearthstone, it's, you've got 2 5/4s for 5, and one of them has taunt and one doesn't. The one with taunt is objectively better.
Right. The best one I've seen so far out of Hearthstone was Fire or Magma Rager versus Ice Rager.
Right.
And one's a 5/1, and now the new one, Ice Rager, is a 5/2. It just happens because you're coming up with cool things. You want things to be cooler than they were previously. And, I mean, we all do this, right? Just naturally.
Yeah, we also have the Heckler versus the Booty Bay guard. The Heckler is exactly the same, but costs 1 less mana. So that's power creep. In a nutshell. Right. It's two things that should be the same, and when compared, one is objectively better. It's not an opinion thing. It is like on paper. So Kyle gave an example. We just didn't like paint a pretty picture out of it, saying that Skeletal Swing for Leoric is just straight up better, does more damage than Slam for Stitches. Stitches, my God, yes. And you even pointed out, even after you put talents into Slam.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter. They do not stack up, and that's kind of an issue. Definitely more of an issue here when we only have X amount of tanks to choose from. So if it's like Leoric versus Stitches, you're just like, well, I guess Leoric wins. I mean, granted, Leoric can't chain someone into the group and kill them, but...
Right. And, this comp isn't exactly, it's not Wombo Combo, it's not, there's nothing I can do about this. It's too aggressive, all these sort of complaints you could have about something that is broken. It's more scary because it's overwhelmingly solid. 2 tanks in front, both wizards in back. And when I'm saying wizards here, I am including Nazeebo in this case, because very often Kael'thas, Jaina get divided across both teams, but, long range, high damage, burst kind of spellcasters can fill this role.
Yeah,
at any rate.
This is absolutely the comp where you would go Ravenous Spirit, because Nazeebo can stand pretty much wherever he wants as long as it's behind the tanks, because there's 2 of them, and they're going to, and those 2 have such good crowd control.
Right, you have amazing utility, great CC, tanking. Both of these tanks also have great mitigation to CC, Skeletal King being able to use his ghost when he might be getting stunned in the background. And of course, Johanna just being Johanna, using her unstoppable abilities.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, like, I don't have a personal, I don't really have an issue with this if there were other options. I think it's really cool seeing Johanna and the Skeleton King, if nothing else from a lore aspect, fighting side by side. But secondly, just like watching a good Leoric and a good Johanna do their thing, like side by side, and really control the battlefield. It's really fun to watch, and it's cool, and it's rewarding if you're on that team and it's working out. What I want, though, is a world where that's not the only double tank combo that works. I'd like to see another double tank combo or a more direct counter. Now, in metas outside of the US, we are seeing Arthas be an incredibly popular pick, specifically to counter the double tank meta. Because Arthas is a single tank that puts out serious damage.
Right, and in fact, let's go ahead and take this opportunity to tell everybody to watch MSI MGA this weekend. It's happening at PAX in Seattle. Sadly, I'm not going to be there in person. But this is a qualifiers and invite tournament for Heroes of the Storm, and it includes people from across the world, EU teams battling C teams, battling American teams. This past... the August Open was kind of disappointing for a lot of fans Because basically we showed up and we watched the exact same teams battle over and over again with the exact same bands. And if the bands got changed, or if, the comp got changed, everyone got really excited and then got to watch them lose because they made the wrong choice. Whereas with this actual event, it could be one of the coolest esports events we've had in Here's the Storm yet, because the metas are going to clash so heavily.
Right. I'm right there with you. I mean, this is why we got so excited about, when we first got into StarCraft 2 esports, we were like, oh my God, what's this GSL thing? And we started watching it, and our just minds were blown. It's like, holy crap, this is it. This is what StarCraft at the peak of play is like. That's what I'm hoping we're going to get to see. Because for the most part, we're not seeing a lot of non-North American heroes play right now.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to this, and also where it's we're gonna see, like you said, teams from other countries playing against one another. So.
Cool. So refocus, because ultimately the purpose of this discussion is to talk about the double tank and wizard meta as it is right now, and how you can actually counter it at home and be effective against it, because you're dealing with out-soliding someone, which means you often have to get a little wacky. So the bad things about this comp is it has almost no sudden engagements. The tanks are really low damage. They're going to be in front, and they're going to be walking towards you for the most part, or you'll have like a spooky ghost chasing you. But ultimately, an out-of-position Leoric isn't an awful thing, right? It's good for you. You can kill him because he got out of position. And they also have no escape. So the team, these two tanks are calling the engages. If they pick bad engagements, they lose because there's no way for them to walk out.
Right. Well, I would argue
there's no way but to walk out. Walk out at ridiculously low speeds.
I would argue that Johanna has no problem doing that. Skeleton King does if he doesn't what is it? Skeletal, ghostly walk, skeletal walk,
spooky walk.
Spooky walk.
I like them all.
I'm terrible at ability.
We're both
names.
Googling, right? Is that why the silence is happening?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, here we go. I got it, and it's Wraithwalk.
Wraithwalk, there you go.
Oh, dude, Wraithwalk. You made the Dota one, Skeleton King, turn into Wraith King, but then you name your thing Wraithwalk. Call it Skeletal Walk, man. You put yourself on the name, damn it. That's just unfair, Blizzard.
Yeah. But my point being is if Skeleton King starts getting focused and he waits too long to do his Wraithwalk, it's very easy to kill him. Super easy.
Right.
Johanna, on the other hand, very hard to kill. I have definitely personally been targeting Skeleton King if my only option is Leoric or Johanna. I go Leoric. A lot more likely I'll get the kill off on him. Johanna's just nuts, man. It's really hard to kill her, especially when there's two tanks.
Right, and we've been talking about Johanna a long time. Don't attack her as best you can. Just do not use anything on her. So going into your own Hero League games, particularly if you're doing stacks, because that means on the enemy team, they're going to be working together. They're most likely going to want to do this comp. If an enemy picks Johanna, you need to make sure you take away Skeleton King from them. It's very important. They're most likely going double tank. There are other tanks that can be applied into this. Diablo, Arthas, they're both pretty high damage and can fulfill many of the same roles. But because of the win rates right now, Leoric and Johanna are what you're going to see the most together.
Absolutely.
It's also important to know that you can't really steal any AA picks from them, and those are auto attacks. We're talking about Valas and Rainers, because they're just going to do Johanna, Skeleton King, Kael'thas, Jaina, if they can get them both, and Lili. They don't need any AA cleanup because they have both tanks there in the front line, and Skeleton King is pretty high damage.
High enough to be considered cleanup anyway.
Right, and he could do his Wraithwalk forward, hit that last little bit. The burst is high enough that you may just die right out, and if not, the tanks can do the little bit of cleanup that may remain after the two big area effect spells have gone off.
Yep. I also like a well-timed condemn when I'm playing Johanna on someone trying to get away, catch them, cleave them, slow them, and then someone else comes in and kills them because my auto attack is slower than molasses on Johanna.
Right. Johanna doing very little damage across most games until the late game. That hammer actually does quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, the spinning hammer on condemn adds quite a bit of damage, but it's not something you can control super well. So you're not going to be getting focus damage with it. You're just going to be padding your numbers.
So let's say you couldn't counter this in the draft phase at all. It just kind of snuck up on you guys. You're dealing with the exact comp I just mentioned. Here's what's not to do. All right. don't build a double tank comp yourself. You're going to be dealing with, what's the best way to put this? Worse tanks. It's not the best phrase, but you're not going to be able to build the same amount of power that Johanna and Skeleton King currently have in their current iterations in the game.
You're going
to lose too much damage.
Right. There's not another double tank combo that can stand toe-to-toe against a Johanna Leoric combination.
Right. Don't dive the wizards alone. Ultimately, the strategy is going to be to ignore the 2 tanks that have amazing CC, mind you, and get to the back and deal with those 2 wizards quickly, or delete the healer as fast as you can. But do not do it alone. Make sure you communicate with your friends what you're going to be doing. Don't waste your abilities on the wizards. And this seems kind of strange because you're thinking, I've got burst power, right? I'm going to do my penetrating shot as Raynor. Boom, hit a wizard in the face. That's going to be half their health, as opposed I use it on a tank. It's a very small percentage of their health. Thing is, your abilities like CC and pushes and these sort of things are better used on the tanks because they're going to put them out of position, lock them down for a moment, and your auto attacks are, in fact, more powerful against the wizards in this case. So don't auto attack the tanks because it's a very small percentage. Keep your auto attacks on the wizards. They'll be panicking. They're not able to do damage while they're panicking. You'll win the fight.
Yeah.
So what to do in this case? Coordinate your attack on the back line. So this means you can communicate with your team. Let's say you just have a ragtag combo. You really need to help your team out. Maybe your tank is in front. Maybe you set up a bait. There's very powerful bait characters like Nazebo and Jaina. Whoops, they're already taken by the enemy team perhaps. But they have ice block. You can use that to kind of be like, oh no, I'm all by myself. And then you hit the ice block. The rest of your team sweeps in and cleans up. The other thing you can do is you want to make sure you're killing the tank last because they will always overextend into your team. Johanna's going to be full of herself. Skeleton King wants to slow as many of you as possible. They're going to dive in first while the wizards hang in the back. If you can sweep around that backside, those tanks are going to be completely overextended forward. They'll have to walk back towards you. They get there. There's no one to support them anymore. There's no one for them to support. They will die as well. This comp also moves as a unit. Absolutely. There are map objectives that spawn in multiple locations at once. There are mercs you can take. Outmaneuver them as best they can. They will always be weaker as long as both tanks aren't together. And to that note, if you come across an objective where both tanks are present, let it go. To the best of your abilities, unless it's going to be completely game-changing. If you get to a tribute, you don't know where the other 3 are, but you see Leoric and Johanna there together, they're going to be able to delay a long time until the rest of those DPS and healers show up. Just let that tribute go.
Unless it's tribute 3.
Exactly. Unless it's extremely important and you'll lose the game unless you really try. That's just giving it your all, right?
Yeah. No, I've seen this a lot, and Sky Temple's been interesting because I've seen a lot of this composition on Sky Temple, and it's almost worked out every single time for me where I'm just like, just let that, we don't need that temple, let's grab this other one. And then let's grab all the mercs because they can't maneuver fast enough.
Exactly. That is the way to win Sky Temple right now. You go, if there's only one, if the top one comes up and the whole enemy's there, take the boss. If 2 pop up and you get to 1 and they're all there, take the other one. It's a very, calm way to play, and it's in fact the most effective way to do it.
Yeah, not panicking is a fantastic way to win any battleground, but Sky Temple especially.
So right now, let's say you're the last pick. This comp is on the enemy team. The 2 picks you can really get to help out your team maneuver out of this is Zagara and Zeratul. And these, you're going to use your area effect CCs to lock down both tanks and leave the healer and the wizards panicking.
Yep,
so,
it's
Void
beautiful.
Prison and Crushing Maw. Devouring Maw.
Devouring Maw. You always call it Crushing. Not sure why. I always accidentally picked Nidus Worm because the icons look the same.
Yeah, and they're both maws that are open and crushing, so... At least it's not named Divined anything. Then we'll get real confused.
Yeah, I even like Zagara, even if your maw is on cooldown, just because you can drop Zerglings and the range on your hunter killer is long enough. You can drop them behind the tanks.
Roaches, no emails, please.
What did I say?
Zerglings.
Did I say Zerglings?
There should be something with Zagara that spawns Zerglings, right? It seems...
Well, Kerrigan has that talent on her on her spikes, so...
Yeah, they shouldn't be exclusive, though.
That's a good point. Although, I don't know. I like that if I see some type of Zerg unit that isn't a hero, I know exactly what hero it came from, because right now Zerglings and Ultralisks only come from Kerrigan, and Roaches and Hydralisks and Mutalisks only come from Zagara.
I would make different choices in the game if 2 Zerglings walk out of a bush and I go, all right, I'm going to go gang Zagara, only to find a Kerrigan there waiting to kick my butt.
With full assimilation shields on. Just
Yep.
Get in there. Because that's totally the name or the noise that she makes. Sorry, I got distracted by chat because someone said, fire Garrett. And I'm like, why? And it's like, oh, because I called Roaches Zerglings. I'm sorry. It happens.
So that's the best thing you can contribute as a single person. There's going to be a lot of heat on you in this case. And in fact, if you're Zeratul, it's often better to just leave one person to die without trying to save them with Void Prison, because if you get them caught inside of it, they're going to rage. So there's certainly some problems with being the sole, the crux that's going to win you this game at picking Zagara and Zeratul in this comp. And people still need to know that not to gather around, like, we're not going to kill what's inside the Void Prison, we're killing what's behind it. And that may be important at this stage to type out to your team in the early game.
Yeah, you're using it as a divide or a peel almost, like a reverse peel. Like you're using it on the things you don't want to attack.
Exactly. I believe in the last Patron game too, I was telling you to cut me off a slice of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
And it worked really well for us.
No, absolutely, man. I agree. That said, you were in there. Very rough game where I was Zeratul against a Leoric Johanna, because the Johanna player was so on top of her game of keeping an eye out for my stealth shimmer. And every single time she would see me, she would hit me with the shield glare and pop me out of stealth. And it was so hard for me to get anything done. It was very
your auto attacks, like the Lili too. So it's definitely a risky pick. Yeah. All across the board, picking Zeratul against this comp.
Yeah, I think Zagara is a slightly safer pick, but both are really good. And also, I mean, if you're a really good Zeratul, if you're great with your positioning, if you can sneak around back, if any damage goes on either of the mages that they have, you can finish them off as Zeratul. Thing is, you need a little support. It's with that composition, you can't just stay on them, because both mages are going to turn on you. One of the tanks is probably going to come to kick your ass. You need a little support, and it's rough. And then that particular game where we were having a hard time, we just couldn't get past their back line, so I was utterly useless. It was rough.
So you don't have Zagara, you don't have Zeratul. Your other choice is to be durable. And these aren't a lot of popular picks right now. But I do think you could apply these into a very, average team. You got yourself Muradin, you got Uther or Rhaegar. Like, you still have a good team comp. You're just not perfectly built to deal with this double tank wizard meta. Adding something in like a Raynor, Thrall, Kerrigan, or Butcher could be that little bit of oomph that you need to survive, to split up the damage, to not allow the enemy team to know exactly who to kill at what time. Now, of course, when I'm talking about melee heroes, we need to talk about, of course, you need that Divine Shield. I would add Illidan in here, maybe, but then you're adding, Divine Shield, maybe even a Tassadar to keep him up. I mean, there's lots of things that need to support these durable characters to get them through the front line into the back to kill the wizards while the warriors are not on lockdown.
This is where I would disagree with you. I don't like Illidan because Johanna's going to displace him like crazy with Condemn.
Right, and he's going to be missing his auto attacks. He's not healing himself. Butcher falls in this exact same problem. It's not the best choice, but if you're missing some of these core picks like the Zagara Zeratul, these could be choices to eke you out a little bit ahead.
Yeah, and I'm going to just one more time harp on the fact Arthas. I want to see more people picking Arthas as the tank when you see this double tank composition coming with you. Not only is he high damage, but these tanks will definitely be walking towards you, and it's super easy to get them in your Howling Blast and disrupt their positioning for whatever engagement they're going for. I love it.
They're locked down, team swaps around the back, deals with them.
Exactly. Arthas keeps both tanks annoyed and busy by keeping himself alive with Army of the Dead and also dishing out damage.
Now, you see this coming. Let's say, our final example here is you're watching the comp being built before your eyes. You see them pick Johanna. For some reason, your next pick isn't Skeletal King. It actually goes to the enemy team. They have both now. They're going for some high damage wizards. And if they can't get those, they're going to grab Val or something like that. This is when you can choose to build yourself a counter dive comp. And what this is truly about is just 100% going for a delete on enemies. You're going to do a Tyrael. You're going to get yourself that Uther Divine Shield, a Rhaegar Cleanse, a Karazim Cleanse even, maybe, if your Karazim's good enough right now. And with that Kerrigan, Butcher, or Illidan, you are just going to destroy instantly those wizards in the back, deal with the healer, then deal with the tanks when they're left over.
I have not seen this happen yet. I want to.
It's a coordinated attack for sure.
Yeah. By the way, like I could help with Rhaegar or Uther. None of these are like my jam. I'm not a good Tyrael, Kerrigan, Butcher, or Illidan.
Sure. And that's what you should bring to it, you know? I mean, when you're picking and you're seeing this comp going on, you should pick that Uther and let others know what you're seeing and what you need to do to counter it.
Right.
And particularly with your Divine Shield, then someone can really invest in something like that Butcher in order to clean up on the back of it.
It's nice. But I'm hoping that this becomes something we don't need to worry about for much longer. I'm wanting other warriors buffed.
Right, exactly. That's not going to come for a while because we just had a big patch. These things come in waves, often with new heroes. So I wouldn't expect this happening before another 2 weeks out. You know, if we're still on the 3-week cycle.
And next out is what? Rhaegar? To the best
Rexxar,
of our knowledge?
yeah.
Rexxar. Sorry, Rhaegar's already here.
No, you're not going to be the only one to make that mistake. Believe me.
I do it constantly. If you guys play heroes with me, or Hearthstone for that matter, I'm constantly messing that up. Hearthstone less, because the innkeeper constantly reminds me of his name.
I think we'll be yelling "kill Misha" more than we'll be yelling "kill Rexxar."
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm interested to see how he's going to shake up the warrior meta, if he will at all. That's always a question. It
depends on his damage and his tanking abilities. If he's a high damage warrior, he could just replace skeleton comp, you know, in this Johanna situation, and we haven't changed anything. But if we can bring other heroes into line, like that Stitches, can you imagine, you know, Skeleton King, Johanna in the front line, they're a little too overextended. Hook comes in from the side, grabs Kael'thas, destroys him. The two tanks with very little movement ability end up having to panic to regroup around their team. Meanwhile, your auto attackers sweep in, they deal with the Jaina. It could be a very cool thing. So, you know, this is all sort of general information. All of these statements cannot really be taken outside of each other, and there's 1,000 if-thens you could plug into here. But I hope this conversation was helpful to everyone.
I think it was. I learned a few things.
Good.
Mostly that apparently I should have done way better as Zeratul earlier today.
We weren't prepared for that, man. You know, like, we saw that comp happen, and I think in the background I whispered something like, "Oh, I've expected this. I've been seeing a lot of it recently." I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, we got in and we're just like, "What do we do?" Oh my god!
Well, and the first thing I said was, you know, well, pick something durable. You were last pick, and I don't have anything. I haven't played Thrall in forever. Zeratul is my next best pick. I'm like thinking, well, Zeratul, you know, he has block if you want to go for it. You have Wormhole to get out of problems. Now, with that behind us and this sort of strategy laid out, you would have a much better mindset going into that. You would know that your Void Prisons are paramount now.
Oh, yeah.
And everything else is secondary.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. Let's see if we can get ourselves into another one of those situations that I've been hoping not to be in. See if we can redeem ourselves, Kyle.
Good.
Patrons, don't you dare do this to us tonight. Don't you dare. They're totally gonna. Let's take an email.
Darkness, stop calling.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from Ilbeard, who writes, "Hey guys, I think the upcoming Judgment's Uther skin is one of the best looking skins in the game, or at least it will be once it is actually released. Unfortunately, Uther is a hero that has just never clicked for me. I know you guys both play quite a bit of Uther. Would you be able to suggest a simple Uther build? I'm talking something that I can play in quick match games for fun, not something that needs to be viable for high-level Hero League games. I just want to be able to enjoy this awesome new skin every now and then without stinking up the joint by trying to manage 7 different buttons." Well, Alebeard, if you go over to amove.tv/ITN and look for the episode 64 post when it's up tomorrow, if you're watching live, or if you're listening to it on podcast, it's up right now. You can find my simple Uther build. But I will very quickly run down it and explain some of my choices. I would go ahead and just grab yourself Conjurer's Pursuit at level 1. That's what most Uthers take, regardless of whether they're trying to make it easy on themselves or not. It's just a good build, a good talent. You need mana.
It's spread across so many heroes. You know how to work yourself doing orbs at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Then I would recommend, because you're trying to keep things simple, grab Boundless Conviction at 4. It increases the width and length of your Holy Radiance, so you're going to be landing more heals. If you're new to Uther, landing Holy Radiance is kind of hard, actually. The amount of times when I was learning Uther that people would just walk right out of it.
It's hurting cats, man.
It is. It absolutely is. You know how you're trying to predict where someone is going to be when you're landing a skill shot on an enemy? You're doing the exact same thing with a heal on a friendly with Holy Radiance, and it takes some getting used to. Then I'd also just keep going down the Holy Radiance path. Grab Wave of Light at 7 if you're trying to keep things easy on yourself. It's going to return mana and reduce the cooldown by 1 second for every single hero that you heal with Holy Radiance. Level 10, your pick. I like Divine Shield. It's definitely the more supporty of the talents, but Divine Storm is great if you need some more stuns. Go ahead and grab yourself Blessed Champion at 13. That's going to... honestly, everything here I think is fine other than Shrink Ray if you're trying to make things easier on yourself, because Shrink Ray will give you an extra button. That's definitely the talent I always take. But you could go Spell Shield if you're taking a lot of damage, Holy Shock if you're feeling dangerous that day, and Blessed Champion if you just want a little more healing. 16, this is where my ulterior motive is going to rear its head, Mr. Alebeard. While I am giving you a relatively easy, no extra button Uther build here, I cannot, in good conscience, tell you to take anything other than Benediction at level 16. Benediction is amazing, and I believe if you take a bunch of passive talents where you don't get extra buttons, and you just take Benediction at 16, that you will, without thinking about it, become a very good Uther, and then you can, over time, start tacking on the extra buttons that every other Uther takes. So
I agree completely.
Yeah.
It is too good. It is where all of your burst healing comes from. You also can use it on your other abilities, such as double stunning someone in the face, which is amazing.
Which, yes, there are absolutely times and places you should do that. But if I'm teaching you how to play Uther, if I'm teaching you to be a good Uther, the only thing you really need to worry about right now, take Benediction and use it before you cast Holy Light, because it will drastically reduce its absurd cooldown. One of the issues you're probably having with Uther, and you might not even realize that you're having it, is that your big heal, Holy Light, is always on cooldown. And at level 16, Benediction reduces it by 10 seconds. So take Benediction, learn how to use it. You will become a great Uther. And when you become comfortable with the extra buttons, you can start tacking on the rest. That'll make you an amazing Uther. At level 20, it doesn't matter. You should take Redemption. You should take it if you're tryharding. You should take it if you're not. It's so damn good.
Yeah, it's just kind of a broken talent at the moment. It is amazing. You will come back to life. The game will not be over because you are dead. Most people see when you're level 20, they know to keep fighting. Sometimes I do have to type to people, don't run from the spooky ghost, please. Because they are constantly running away from the healing that is continuing to go after I have died.
Yep.
But rough. Most people know about Redemption, and they will stick around at level 20.
Absolutely. As for if you start getting the hang of Benediction and Uther in general, and you want to start trying out the build with a bunch of extra buttons, this is completely my personal preference, but I think the order of the most important things you should be taking is, once you've mastered Benediction, add on Protective Shield next. Once you feel good with 2 buttons, then I might go to Shrink Ray. Once you feel good with 3, then I would say you could either take Cleanse or Clairvoyance. There used to be a time where Cleanse was the absolute end-all, be-all. You take Cleanse. But it's not as good as it used to be. It is still really good, but it's a higher skill cap. You have to cast it after the bad effect has gone off on your ally. Before, you used to be able to precast it, and for the entire duration of Cleanse, they were just untouchable. That is no longer the case.
And in the current play of things, the game is really bursty. And if you aren't going Divine Shield, you need Cleanse. But for the most part, I go Clairvoyance every time now because I have Divine Shield. And I use it rather liberally, like half-health heroes, particularly my assassins. I throw it out so they can get regenerated upon. And man, if you've played any strategy game on Earth, you know how amazing Sight is. And Clairvoyance, which can be cast while you're on horseback without dismounting, is such a good spell. And it reveals stealthies.
It's great. I almost always take it against the stealthy. I still take cleanse quite a bit. It's just too good to have. If Divine Shield is on cooldown, it's another get out of jail card. I love it. It's great.
Don't face check things. Use your spells. It's amazing. And by that I mean
Clairvoyance.
Yes, exactly. And by face check I mean sending your body to walk into a bush or a unseen area in the fog of war where you will most likely get destroyed by whatever's waiting for you there.
One of the most common questions I get asked is, Garrett, why is Zagara your favorite hero? And it's because sight is king and Zagara is broken when it comes to sight. You put creep wherever you want to see without being there, and it's wonderful. And then every now and then you go up against a team that has all the tools to get rid of your creep, and you're a very sad panda. Except you're not a panda, you're a Zerg queen. But yeah.
There are some amazing abilities at level 7 for Zagara, but in every pro game right now, for the most part, you will see endless creep that increases the size of it. It is too good.
It's so good. It's so freaking good.
Spider Queen in your solo mid Zagara, just creep. Oh, you just feel like you're contributing the world to your team.
Yeah. I love Rapid Incubation so much for pickup games, though, because you don't have to depend on anyone for anything at any time. It's like, am I low on health and mana? Now I'm not. Back in the game.
Well, and battle momentum, too, is good on any character.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever taken on Zagara.
Really? Oh, man, when I find myself as a specialist, this is more of a quick match situation, where I find myself as a specialist on a low damage team. I often take battle momentum just for the infinite Hydralisk at late game.
That is nice. Anyway, let's take our second email and end the show. Our second email comes to us from Hugo, and he says, "Hello, you two. In the last episode, Garrett asked if he could get a Raynor coaching session from Kyle. I was wondering if you could video it so that we could all enjoy the teachings. Thank you for all your hard work. Love your show." And the answer is, yeah, why not? As you may have heard us mention it earlier in the show, replays were wiped out with the recent patch. So we've been having a hard time finding a replay to cast for our extra game this month. So we decided Kyle's going to coach me on Raynor, and that'll take the place of the casting this month because we ain't got no replays.
Right, we threw you guys one this month. There's already a casted in suits game up, but because we missed last month, we had to get you another one. Had a game picked out. It's a sweet game too. Team Liquid versus, of all things, oh God, what is their ridiculous Team Mozzarella? Really? It is a dumb, but they are kicking butt in the EU right now. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Team Mozzarella is where it's at. So that was going to be a sweet game. Sadly, those replays were destroyed. So, we're still going to give you guys back with this Raynor coaching session. I'm excited for it. Garrett's going to play 2 games, get me some replays, and then we're going to go over them, and then maybe possibly play a game together after that. But really, replays are the best for coaching because I can give you my undivided attention, whereas if we're playing together, I'm not always going to be able to be there for you. If I'm healer, I got other lanes to take care of. If I'm Abathur sitting atop you the whole time, that's a bad Abathur. I've got other places to be.
You could also I could screen share and you could just watch me play live is another possibility.
That's true, but when we this, it's a very personal thing,
Yeah, we can pause, we can, zoom in, all kinds of stuff.
Exactly, and when we're after the fact, we can all digest things a little easier. If I say, "Oh, that was wrong," you can go, "Yeah, I know it was wrong." Whereas in the moment, if I tell you you're wrong, that might just, I personally, with someone yelling I'm wrong over my shoulder watching me playing would just make me go, "I'm doing my best. I'm doing what I can. There's nothing I could have done."
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. So I actually have 2 games with Raynor right now I could use. However, I'm thinking about some of the incredibly obvious mistakes I made, and I'm not sure I want to showcase those.
But you're learning the hero, man. You got to be comfortable with, messing up a bit.
There'll just be certain points where you'll be like, well, I know what you did wrong here, and I'll just be like, I'm more than aware of what I did wrong there, Kyle.
Right. And maybe that isn't the best learning tool.
Right, exactly. So I'm liking Raynor, though. I think I'm starting to get the hang of him. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks again for your emails, folks. We got 3 patrons during our live show. I don't usually do this, but thank you, Hugo, Twitchikins, and Jordan. Thank you guys for Hugo, who we just read the email of. I promise we didn't bribe him, or he didn't bribe us. I'm not even kidding. 9:10 p.m., so less than 30 minutes ago.
What would you say this email here made it on tonight's show?
So thanks for that. Thanks to our patrons. Again, check out patreon.com/ITN if you want to support the show. You can also support the show by leaving us a review on the iTunes store. This week, I want to thank Bents19, Yours Vamp, Captain Chiz, CH. I'm going to really enunciate that. My name is John Smith. That is his iTunes name. And Mike the Bear Knight, who wins the iTunes name game this week. Thank you for your iTunes reviews. We really appreciate it. In the Nexus is produced by amove.tv and our Patreon producer, Declan H. Thank you, Declan. You can see more about this and all of our other shows over on amove.tv. You can email us at itncast@gmail.com or continue the conversation over on the ITN subreddit at itncast.reddit.com. I was, for some reason, thinking I already said the YouTube, but I didn't. All of our VODs are on youtube.com/amovetv. Finally got to update the domain. I'm very excited about that. Go check it out. Kyle's solo Q&A is over there. The Frog Pants, or the Heroes of the Pants finals that Kyle and I casted last week are over there. Definitely
we
go
forgot
watch.
to mention that. That was this last weekend.
Yeah, go watch that. Oh, that was a blast. We got to cast with Scott. How cool is that? Casting with Mr. Scott Johnson. That was a real treat.
No, I had a lot of fun in those. Those were great games, too.
Really good ones, especially if you only watch one of them. Watch the first game. It's amazing.
Nail biter.
Yeah. Catch us live Thursday nights on at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. Follow the channel. It'll let you know when we're going live. Check out alphageekradio.com for the mobile live stream. We're on Twitter at ITNcast. We're also on facebook.com/amovetv. And big thanks to Brian Griffith for our intro music. You can see his work at briangriffithmusic.com. Kyle, where can folks find you?
Find me on Twitter at Kyle Ferguson. Find me Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/amovetv, doing my solo Q&A show. This last week did some placement games. I'll be done with those by next week, so we'll probably be grinding out some Heroes League. And then if you are interested in getting your replays seen by me, you can always send those over. All your old ones got deleted, so if you sent one over in the past, it's bad, it's corrupted, whatever Blizzard did. Send those over to itncast@gmail.com for when I eventually do another replay analysis episode of Solo Q&A. But if you can't wait, I am offering Heroes coaching at my website, kyleferguson.com, and you can sign up there. There is a fee, but you will get my undivided attention to yourself for 1 hour while we go over your replays and some gameplay. KyleFerguson.com for all that. And also, Dungeons & Dragons articles. New ones coming. They're finally coming. I'm so sorry. It's been so long, D&D fans. Got busy.
Awesome. Everyone go check that out. I didn't know you were offering coaching now. I know you were talking about it. I didn't know it was up and working.
Yeah, already have a few scheduled. So I'm excited about that.
Freaking
thank you all for supporting.
Dope. Man, I wish I was as good as you. I would offer that too. I should offer like Hearthstone, just see if you can make Garrett rage.
Yeah.
You just play against me and see if you can make me rage. That'll be, I'm sure somebody out there would find value in that.
Pro tip, just play with a really old bull deck. Don't use any new cards from any set.
Kyle's talking about Magic the Gathering right now, and the I don't know what the hell it was deck that he brought with him to his bachelor party. And if we haven't told you the story of Kyle's bachelor party, it was nothing but Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons.
It was the best. It
was a great time. And you better get in early enough to my wedding so that we can hopefully recreate that fantastic event.
I should.
Good. You can follow me on Twitter at Garrett Art. My graphic design portfolio can be found over at nomoonart.com. And check out The Angry Chicken, the Hearthstone podcast with me, with Dills, with Jocelyn, talking all about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. Lots of stuff to talk about lately. I am in love with the Beast mid-range Druid deck, or mid-range Hunter deck I've been playing. Not Druid. Druid's on my brain, because apparently I was wrong. Beast Druid is working out, and I'm going to have to eat my hat. So, that's sad. Just because we don't run ads at the top of the show anymore doesn't mean that these codes are any less awesome. Check out doghousesystems.com, where you can use the code ITN to get a free 120 gigabyte solid-state drive added onto your gaming rig. I love my Doghouse system. I swear by it. Check them out. Use that code. You get a free hard drive. You support the show. We appreciate it. Also, check out tweakedaudio.com. The same code, ITN, will get you 30% off and free shipping on your entire order of noise-reducing earbuds from Tweaked Audio. The only thing keeping me sane during the incredibly hot runs I've been going on lately. It is abysmal here. Working out sucks. but I got to do it because I am an out of shape nerd. So
It's always going to suck, man, but good for you, you know?
gotta keep doing it.
It's all your work, so I feel bad saying I'm proud of you, man, but good for you, man.
If nothing else, I can just run the same distance and I'm burning more calories than I usually would because it's so damn hot.
There you go. I think that's water, but yeah, calories, sure.
Oh man, you have no clue. You have no idea. I'm pretty sure meat is cooking off of my body as I run.
It's 76 up here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, folks, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week for episode 65 of Into the Nexus. Until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.